Basic Control, baby. Today we're gonna get in your minds. We're gonna get in real deep.
Welcome to Basic Control, the show where we effectively break down various forms of media into relatable context, basically giving the control back to the viewers. My name is Aaron Ray, aka The Boss Ray, on social media. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and ArtStation. As for my co-host, where can the people find you, Adrian?
At 80K Lives, elevating the game all over the interwebs.
Follow us at Poppy Guys Attack on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube at PT Attack. Download and stream on Audio Mac and SoundCloud, or email us at ptattack@gmail.com. Any questions, comments, hypotheticals, or advice you would like to see addressed on the show. First, we'll get into our icebreakers, our coverage, and opinions on current events, moving then to our main topic today being the bullshit can wait. And finally, spilling out into the hypothetical section where we can let loose, crack open our creative sides, and dig into the rabbit hole.
Welcome to Basic Control.
First and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm good. Never better. I've learned a lot over the past few days.
Yeah, I'm
leveled up, man. How about yourself?
I'm sitting here, and I done seen it. I done seen the power and the glory of the Justice League trailer. That joint dropped, and I was like, yep, I gotta see it. And like, you know what the thing that got me? I think you could probably guess the thing that got me about it. It's like it's a much quieter trailer than we've seen so far. Because most of the time they'll drop one of these joints just like dun, 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 dun. I know the first one was Icky Thump, and then the second one was like come together. It's like yeah, but then they threw everybody for a loop. They did this quiet trailer with I think it was David Bowie's Heroes, and there's a cover. It's a alternate cover of that song. I'm like, wow, like this is 10 times quieter than I anticipated. And I think it's number one on trending on YouTube. And like it shows a lot of stuff. But like, what were your first impressions of
the quietness, the quietness, the colors? I think watching that whole opening thing with Superman, and then the framing of the story, I was kind of surprised that they got right into the Steppenwolf shit. Like that was like 3 frames after the Superman part, and then he's coming down axe. I was like, oh shit, this is getting real. Some of the humor I don't know.
There's a scene where Aquaman is like, oh yeah, isn't the strongest man strongest alone or whatever, and he was like, no, that's not how the saying goes. Like I was like, you sound really like Tony Stark right now. Like you sound like that's like exactly like that's like a line from the Avengers, and I'm like, all right. I hope that's not from the reshoots, because I was like, Joss Whedon, he has a certain writing style.
I forgot about that.
The flash line has always been in there. The one at the bookend of the trailer, when he's like, oh, is that your signal? Yeah, that's always been in there. So I'm not worried about that. Even though that's not, it quote unquote sounds like a Whedon line, right? It's not.
I wasn't worried about that either, because like if he's supposed to kind of be because remember Justice League Unlimited Justice League cartoon from the original Justice League cartoon, a lot of people's favorite Flash was the Wally version, more upbeat, funny comic relief version, and so that's kind of the one they're trying to portray, but it's Barry Allen, which I don't kind of like. Just say.
All right, I think they're gonna spin it in a certain way where like he's funny like Wally, but he's still smart like Barry. I think we're not just gonna see him goof off the whole time. I hope not, because I mean, with all the conversations that Ezra Miller, the guy who plays the Flash, wonderful actor, with all the with all the conversations that I heard, I was like, all right, I think he clearly understands that this dude is like a scientist. He flips through certain things. Like he thinks about things a whole lot differently. So I think the conversation that him and Bruce have, in the film, like he was saying, or in a lot of interviews, was like, all right, they connect because they're both crime scene investigators. They're both like, these are parts of his character. So I don't think they're just gonna go like, oh yeah, he's just a funny one, like a Wally West, which is why I wouldn't go Wally West, because there's not much depth to Wally, other than the fact that he's fast and like he's just a very loving person, but he doesn't really have a like. What is Wally's job? Like what is Wally's?
He's just legacy of Flash.
Yeah, so legacy Flash. So yeah, like having a person with a job and like a purpose in life, it makes him a lot more responsible, but also like giving him Wally's humor allows for an area of that, in the film.
You know what it is in this that they're gonna have to do, and not have to do, because I'm pretty sure between Zach and Joss that they've balanced it pretty well, but that's just the balance. When we talked about was it Dark Side War, when Barry and Batman are like, those are the kind of scenes and interactions I would like to see between them, because they're both detectives. We can have the humor there, but it would be very, very nice to have that balance between the dichotomy with Barry as a character, to see him be lighthearted, but also showing his genius in front of Bruce.
Yeah. It's like you very much get like a bright Barry Allen in this, but yeah, like having that, it's like, all right, we can also see like we were saying in Dark Side War, there's that scene when both of them are like science bros, like they're really going at it, because you like, all right, finally, like he's showing that, just run a test on this real quick, runs a test on it, it's like cool, just like that's like teamwork in the field. So like something like that. That's very good. I like how they're connecting as a cast. They feel like they're very much bonded. Like there's that scene with Cyborg and Aquaman up there, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like I feel like I was wondering about the tone and all that, and then you show me this scene, and I'm like, this is everything I really wanted from the film, is to retain your visual language, the language of like what Man of Steel and like the art film feel of Batman vs Superman, and a little bit in Man of Steel, and sort of keep that narrative going, and of like this solemn, like, all right, this is it, like it had spirit to it, is what I'm trying to get at, like, and that's what I attach myself to. It's not so much the action that I'm looking for when I go in there. I mean I want to see something cool, but at the same time, like, that was what I was looking for out of this the whole time. Like that scene of like, yes. He's like, so that means it's yes. And I was like, what? He's like, the ring. And then the score turns, and he's like, oh yeah, it's like a dream sequence, or is it?
Exactly. And the piano Superman motif.
Mm-hmm. The Man of Steel, I forgot what it's called, but yeah, that's basically the Superman theme in this world. It brings me to another thing. It's not so much a tangent, but it's like it's related. I think maybe last show we were talking about Danny Elfman keeping the themes, right?
Right.
It was like saying, all right, will he have the Man of Steel theme? We have the the Batman theme and the Wonder Woman theme and all that. And he was saying, yeah, he'll keep the Wonder Woman theme. He's keeping that in there. And Danny Elfman said that he'll have motifs to Donner Superman, like the old Superman, and like I was like, dun, 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 dun. I'm like, I was like, you're gonna put that in? I mean, like, it's almost like I think he said he's also going to try to put the animated series Batman moment in there. Like, I'm like, but I get it. Like, I get like the nostalgia attached to it, but like it's almost like you're not really seeing that they have a different spirit to them. Like the tones that you have for the character so far, those motifs, like when they brought it back up, what I seen in the trailer, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is his theme. If they play when you see him like standing there, like when they start, would you start that off like that? Like, does that fit this Superman?
They're gonna make a rock version.
Yeah, I mean, it's Danny Elfman. I don't think he's more orchestral. If it was Junkie XL, sure. Like I'd be like, yeah, then they're totally gonna rock because this movie has a rock vibe. Every trailer so far, even the Comic-Con one, the first one, the teaser, every single trailer has had a rock theme to it. Like whether it's Icky Thump, White Stripes, you're talking about David Bowie recently, and then also the Beatles / Gary Owens doing the Come Together, and you're like, all right, yeah, I see what you're going for the rock vibe, so I hope that can continue. And plus, these are all covers, right? So I hope to hear this music in the movie because like this is some really good music as well. Like in terms of like a soundtrack, this is probably kind of hot, like a little bit. No hip hop. I didn't hear any hip hop. I'm disappointed, but but whatever. It's a rock movie.
I would not want these pieces inside the film per se, and only because if we're talking about the balance on this film, this is their film that really is going to set the precedent for moving forward, tonally and everything. Doing the whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing and interjecting weird.
They did it on Suicide Squad, but they did almost every scene has a song on it in Suicide Squad, which was a mistake. Because it was made by Trailer Park, the people who made the trailers. And people was like, yeah, people like the trailer music. Yeah, but nobody wants to hear that. Sometimes people want to hear the Vincent Price score on certain scenes. Now, for the certain scenes like the Chemical Wedding, like having, what was her name? Kalani Gangster song played during the Chemical Wedding in Suicide Squad, that works. That and that song, like the theme, the motif from that song became the theme for Joker and Harley Quinn throughout the movie. So whenever you see them, you hear that song in the background, like swelling up. It's like a part of the score. So that one worked. But when they're on the plane and you're playing like songs from Apocalypse Now, and you're like, it's like, what are you up to? Like, it's like at a certain degree, you got to be like, all right, we can take out the Eminem song. We could take out like some of these other ones. Like, not all of the songs work, and y'all got to chill out.
That's right.
So yeah, I don't want that. But I mean, there's like one or two of them. Like I said, Come Together. I gotta hear Come Together like at one point, because well, I'll get into it, but I gotta hear Come Together, and I gotta hear this Bowie this cover, because this Bowie cover is pretty good. Maybe at the end, like during the credits, you gotta hear Come Together. You gotta hear these songs. But other than that, I'm not really concerned with having it in the movie, because I feel like you got Danny Elfman, you got all these incredible scores that are attached to these characters. Just use the score, and then when there's no room for score, just whatever. Come Together. I was recently watching what's that movie? The Bruce Willis one, Armageddon, with Ben Affleck actually. And the recruitment scene in that movie, you know what song they use? Come Together. It's like I don't know in musical term what to call it, but like it's sort of like a little fade of it. Like I just see it visually. It starts strong, it's like it's like what you do with snares sometimes, but it's like it's dope, right? And they use that as like the cut between is like the Amanda Waller scene in Suicide Squad, right? When she's like listing off the people. They did that in Armageddon, and they used that song, and I was like, wow, that will work in Justice League as well. Not to copy Armageddon, that's probably the worst movie. A Michael Bay movie is the worst example to copy, but I'm saying like there's room for it in the film, because like it has a history of that, a history of being used like that. Come together, for group, man, for the team. It's like, I don't know.
We'll see. November what? 23rd?
17th?
Oh, 17th.
November 17th is a week after Thor: The Dark World comes out. It's pretty dope. Like I said, all the visuals to me, that most thing that I noticed, the big changes is that we're in the original version, the CGI was unfinished and it was kind of dark around there. Like in the final battle scene, it was like very dark, and like there's like hues of blue and things like that. Now it's like there's a red sky, but there's also like a red cast on everything else. So like everything's more brighter because of the red, but it also looks kind of the CGI looks more finished because the movie's closer. But like I don't like the red so much. I kind of appreciated some of the darker portions of there, but I understand if the sky is red, you see a lot more red around. And there's also some weird things going on with buildings there. I think the area that they're at, I think this most likely we can assume this is the third act of the film. It's like Chernobyl. There's some scenes like when you look at the monitors behind when Bruce is sitting in the chair with his cowl off, right? The monitors behind there are showing Chernobyl. The people who don't know Chernobyl, that's the place where the nuclear reactor went off and pretty much destroyed the town. It was like radiation. Probably one of the most radiated places in the world. You got cases of mutation, all types of situations going on there. They have horror movies set over there because, you know, all of the myths and legends about, you know, what happened there. But it seems they might be going to Chernobyl or another place close to that area, because when the Batmobile is driving, there's like huge things waving around, almost like vines a little bit. So I'm not so sure what's going on.
You talking about the pit, the fire pits?
Yeah, the fire pits. There's like some creatures that eat the flames on the apocalypse.
Yeah, they are trying. I mean, that's usually the goal, right? Is to terraform the Earth into another apocalypse. So,
yeah. So I don't know exactly the details of their MacGuffin plan or whatever they're after. I mean, they're not technically after mother boxes by themselves. They have mother boxes. They just need. It's like you have to fly a dude through the portal or so he could establish. Yeah, it's a very simple plan. It's the same plan from the Avengers. It's like you just got to open a portal, let the army through. But also there's like the Man of Steel thing where terraform the planet too. But who knows what their actual, you know, the physical representation of what they're doing is.
I just hope it's a really colorful film. The trailer color looks really nice to me, because it was, the grays were sort of eliminated. There was more color to the film.
Yeah, it's pretty bright.
I like how coming out of Man of Steel and then BVS and now that transition, I really enjoy that. They take it seriously, you know. They take their style seriously.
Production design. There's the Mercedes deal that they cut. I don't know if you've seen any of the Mercedes promo.
That new Benz that they designed for the movie.
Well,
Or is
it was designed for the video game Gran Turismo, and then it's not a real car, and I guess Snyder was like, oh, all right, this is the car I want Bruce Wayne to drive. He's like, this is from a video game. Well, make it then. It's like, all right, cool. And they made they got the same team who designed the car, and they made a whole Mercedes out of that, and they partnered up with Mercedes to provide background vehicles, and also you know, Diana's vehicle is a Mercedes, you know, high-end Mercedes. I think I know where you're going with this, because I had the same thought. I get it for Bruce Wayne. The whole Gran Turismo prototype car, I think that fits a Bruce Wayne character, does it? But when you start saying, all right, Bruce and Diana have Mercedes, and then we have these background cars that are also Mercedes, I think from a production design standpoint, that doesn't work for me.
It takes you out of and you can definitely notice it. I mean, Transformers gets away with it because of whatever reason, but it's like the suspension of disbelief thing gets kind of, it may not affect other moviegoers, but me, I certainly notice when every car in the background is a Benz, or every car in the street is a Ford.
So everybody got a Mercedes though? Like Mercedes is not your, you know, pedestrian brand so much. You know what I'm saying? Like not everybody got Mercedes money.
These are vehicles that they use in the chase scenes too. So then all the goons have a Mercedes-Benz truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you remember the original Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer, the one with you know, Chris Evans, who is now Captain America, they had partnered up with Ford to make the flat. Ford designed the future car, or whatever the Fantastic Four car is called, the future vehicle, the flying car, and all of the seats Ford, all the vehicles in the movie Ford, because they cut a deal, they cut a check with Ford to have the vehicle in the movie, and I understand this is a part of the Justice League promotion and all that, and Mercedes is showing off this car, and they want to have, they provided them with vehicles, whatever the deal is, that whenever you get a company, say if I was shooting a movie and then I don't know, Audi was like, hey, we can provide you vehicles for the movie, like you need these vehicles to make the movie, right? But like, I get it, I understand, but like, it's just from a production design standpoint, I know it will stick out if they linger on these things too long. If it's like really quick and nobody really like, it's like just blurred in the background or something, whatever, cool, whatever. And I understand, like, they're providing you a service, they're providing you, all the cars are provided by Audi. Thank you. That's a great credit, and I appreciate that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, Mercedes, though, it's too much. It's too much. And when you consider the believability of your world, you're compromising the believability of your world and the structure of that. And like I said, I get it. I don't hate it because I understand it. I understand where they're coming from with that. Because, like, ain't nobody about to turn down free cars when people cut music videos. Drake cut a music video, and some of they was like, oh, all the we'll provide you this amount of alcohol. They got jewelers that will provide rappers jewels to rock in there. That's not their normal jewels, but it's like, yeah, we created this, to show off in your video, or we created this or this car, and just we'll provide all the cars and vehicles, and all the cars and vehicles will be from one brand, or the alcohol will be from one brand. This gets into advertisement, I guess, or product placement, but like, that's basically the premise of that, and I get it.
Where everybody's in the movie has iPads, or like you see Dell on all the computer.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I get it. I get it. Y'all provided us a service, but like, my world kind of suffers that gap, because the second somebody notices that, they'll be like, all right, it turned into Transformers. Now it's like an overt thing. Like, all the cars and Transformers are from, I forgot what brand.
The first few films, it was all Chevrolet, like Ford. And that's all one kind of GM. It was GM, General Motors.
And when you look at Fast and Furious, it's the same thing. All the cars provided by, GM. All the cars provided by, all these companies. Not every car, because, you got to get your luxury cars because of the nature of your film. But
Japanese cars, or your American. Yeah, you have to have these.
But it's like, once I see them, now it's like, all right, yeah, okay. So you're telling me this random thug that, I just robbed the corner store. He drives off in a freaking Mercedes, like in your movie, because the car was free, or the car was provided to you. Now, like, okay, what was he driving? Mercedes? Nah, dude, you gotta pull back on that. I don't care how much money or whatever type of service. You got to find, as a production designer on a set, you got to look for something, or give him a car that fits the character. And I understand for Bruce Wayne, the prototype thing, that's incredible. I love that idea. I love the idea that he's driving this prototype, one-of-a-kind Gran Turismo from a video game vehicle, right?
What makes Diana want a Mercedes?
What makes Diana get the same, number one, the same brand, but also every other car in there is from the same brand? They got to fit these characters.
Gotham has a Mercedes dealer right off of 39th and 125th that everybody goes to, because the insurance rates are really low, and you get a really good deal on your return.
Well, no, say like Mercedes has a deal with Wayne Enterprises, and for some reason Penguin knocks them off. So now everybody in the city got Mercedes. Yay! That's the that's the reason behind it. But yeah, that's basically it for the Justice League talk. Before we get into the main topic, I will just say they dropped the trailer for Pacific Rim, the sequel for that. They use a mashup in the trailer for Vince Staples and Tupac. I don't know if you ever seen that trailer, but it just recently dropped. So let me know what you think about that.
I won't probably watch it unless it comes on. I like mecha so much that Guillermo del Toro? I don't know who the hell writes this shit. Whoever writes this shit.
It was Del Toro. I don't know if he made this one.
I'm not.
But they got John Boyega in this one.
I know a lot of people like these films, the Pacific Rim, because it's like, oh, it's kaiju and you got Gundam, but it's not really the mecha I like. The designs aren't really that good. I don't really like the characters. I don't know.
They're a lot more slimmer this time, but they do remind me of that Disney Channel show that they have. It's called X4 or something, and they look exactly like that. It's very not cool. I like blocky, like, Gundam blocky, like square, this, that, third, or like even Evangelion. That's like a very interesting design because it's very alien looking. These are like in between the blocky and the alien looking, because like I don't even understand. They just look like toys to me. But
exactly, you gotta go back to the old mecha animes where
Sock'em boppers,
they look like Rock'em Sock'em robots, where like these old anime robots are really big and circular, and they look like a plastic toy, put together. It just didn't have a mecha feel. It wasn't very dynamic until the late 80s, probably early 80s. And then you get into this Pacific Rim thing, and it's probably not. It probably is good, but I'm just when we get better mecha movies, somebody needs to let me know when we get better mecha stuff.
I think there are some Japanese. There's one Japanese one, very famous brand, but I can't remember what it is. But that one's out. And I think Paramount or somebody's making an Evangelion movie, so we'll see about that.
You said there's one out now. Is it like a?
It's like obscure or something. But there's a Big O movie, I think. They should cast Ben Affleck as Big. Well, no, that's too on the nose because he's already Bruce Wayne. But yeah, like making a Big O movie, that's not too hard. Like doing something like that. But like we do kind of need to diversify. Since you opened up the door, because we have Godzilla and all that. Another door is doing mega robot films, and it worked in a certain degree for a smaller film like Colossal. For a lot of people who don't know, Colossal is this movie about Anne Hathaway and this other character, Jason Segel, is in there, and there's robots, there's giant monsters, there's all types of stuff. But it's a quieter movie. It's not really about that, but the fact that you have that and you use that as like your set piece is great. It's perfect. It works for storytelling purposes, not so much as, oh, look at this cool robot that we made. It's the story first, and then you're like, oh well, I see why the monsters are here. I see why the robots and the aliens and all this type of nonsense is there, because it serves a story. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say, because I thought the mashup of Tupac and I think Vince Staples, war ready. I thought that went pretty well for the trailer. I forgot. I don't know the Tupac song they used, because this is a sample. This is like a complete mashup. It's a sample of Tupac and War Ready. The plot for me isn't necessarily something I'm excited about for now. But yeah, that's basically it. I was going to talk about Gerald's Game, but I guess I can talk about that some other show. Let's move on to our main topic. Bullshit can wait. And basically what that means is I'll start off this way. It's not what you know, it's who you know. It's not just that, they gotta like you. You gotta be likable. Professional relationships and media is basically the cornerstone of this. Like, oh, you got to know somebody to get the job, or you're like, I have all the experience in the world. I went to school for this. I do that. I'm the best. But like, if they don't like you, you won't get the job. If they don't know you, they won't employ you. And then there's that other element. That's point one. But then the point two is, when you have an issue with these people, like you gotta the sacrifices to make yourself likable in the workplace, or work with certain people, try to be cool with people. You gotta be the bigger person in all this. You gotta put your as they say in Assault on Precinct 13, you gotta put your shit on pause. And creative differences are horrible. Like recently, I went through a argument myself where it kind of threatened my relationship with somebody.
It depends, I guess, because especially in media entertainment, we don't have like a union or something to protect us. So all of this is kind of going off of what people say and do. And if you notice, a lot of rappers are always like, oh, all these other rappers are fake because on paper they look one way, but in real life they're not really that way. So you got to deal with egos. You deal with, there's too much shit you got to deal with.
I mean, when you come into a game like this, or like any type of media, or not even just media, just a job in general, there's plenty asses to kiss. And I'm not really I'm not a kiss ass. I'm not, if it comes down to it, like, I'll tell you, I'll be completely honest. But at the same time, if it's something that is like something that's very preventable, that I could just all right, I can just shut up and I can get, I can establish myself or get this job or something. I might have to, bite the bullet on that, because there's certain sacrifices you gotta make, to be in a workplace and be likable and be like, the bigger person in a lot of things. You'll work with douchebags. You'll work with people you just despise. But like the problem is, like, when you're in a writer's room, or when you're in like a certain situation when you have disagreements, you got to think about, all right, why I'm here to do what? To do the job. And I'm not focused on the job. If they're impeding the job, you're in the way. But if it's me in the way, impeding on my job with my personal feelings on something, then it becomes like, all right, either leave or get out of the way, a certain degree, right? Or do you disagree?
Well, yeah, I think I can sort of agree with that, because you got to have a subjective and you got to have an objective way to think about things. And there's yourself in the situation and the other parties involved. If somebody's impeding me from doing my job, that is what gives me the biggest pet peeve in working with anything. Because how am I supposed to be A, likable, and B, expanding on this relationship? Yeah, by being professional and making my deliverables, if you are impeding on me from doing that. And like you, I'm not a kiss ass either, but you do, in this, you have to find a balance of like knowing when to shut up and listen, and like knowing when it's your time to kind of speak or interject. And especially when you're dealing with people at a higher payroll, they might look at you like, oh, you're new. You haven't been here that long, so you don't have, even if your ideas are great.
Yeah, when you gotta foster a professional relationship with people, you understand that, number one, there's levels to this, right? There's your personal level where you can have a personal problem with somebody, but that's just on the surface. You know what I'm saying? Like, what should come before that is, what is the job?
Fiduciary agreement to just succeeding in whatever the project is. No, nothing else.
If you start off and you're like, oh, well, I don't like so and so and that, and it's like you're doing yourself a disservice, because maybe they might be good at their job, but they might be a shit person. At a certain degree, you gotta be like, all right, cool. Like I have to bite the bullet on this, and especially when you talk about professional relationships that you have to keep. In terms of like, all right, this is my boss. My boss is like this, that, and the third. I hate working with dude, but he gets his job done and he does this, that, and the third. And you can come at him on certain things in terms of its ethics or whatever. But if it's just like a personal, like a purely personal thing, like you gotta either let it alone or just move on. Because like if you can't work that way, don't work that way. Yeah, move on. And it's a professional relationship at the end of the day, right? Because like you just gotta be like, all right, it's not about me. If you're having an argument at work about something that's concerning, I don't know, the work itself, like we're in the writer's room and we're talking about say Rick and Morty, because it's a perfect example. Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon had a real big argument about a lot of things going on in Rick and Morty, because Dan Harmon isn't, he's a jackass when it comes to writing. He's very stubborn on certain topics and certain things. So they have back and forth. And if he started throwing out personal insults and certain things that have nothing to do with that, and they're talking about concepts of the show and talking about like the differences of their opinions on what needs to happen within the workplace, you're nuts. Nobody's throwing out no personal insults there. You throw out a personal insult, you're like, all right, where's this coming from? Number one. Number two, like, we're still at work. This is a professional relationship. Like, we don't necessarily have to be friends, but we got to work together to get the thing done.
But see, that's the thing about me. I don't know about anybody else's character, but I won't argue. I won't get above my space, above my anything. I won't insult nothing, because it has nothing to do with the objective. Once we start getting into that shit, it's more than likely the other person, and they have. I've worked in environments where the head chef starts screaming at people randomly, and it's like, why? We're here to work, and if we feel shitty, we don't want to work, especially not with you. And then you get people who are too afraid to say shit. And it just gets out of control, and then that environment becomes toxic. So I try to avoid that shit first. Always. I'll be quiet. I'll do whatever. But I think the biggest thing with me is, how do you handle that when it's then affects your personal life, right? Like, especially in media entertainment, we pay each other. We do deals to pay each other. We have families to take care of that. If there's something that we do that's time away, so you fuck up my time and you fuck up my money. Those are two things, like I said before, big pet peeves. I'm not gonna stand for it.
Yeah.
I don't care how personally, whatever. But those two things, because now it's affecting my ability to come to work. It's affecting my ability to get the job done.
Man, I mean, nobody wants Sandra at the office to just I don't think that you dress like a Christian or whatever. I'm just throwing out anything, but whatever Sandra at the office thinks about you, it's like, oh God, I don't know how to handle your situation. I'm just trying to do my job and go home at the end of the day. Like this, I'm just trying to get the bag. It's trying to get the bag. Just gotta say it over and over in your head, and But when you're in a toxic environment, when people are throwing out insults and this type of things, like, man, you haven't gotten your eye on the ball about like what we're here to do. And especially if my main mandate, the way I handle things is like I keep those things separate. Personal and my personal feelings and my professional feelings are two different things. Like, because I'm way more objective in my my professional life. I can go about things in a different way, but I'm also way stricter in my professional life as well, where like I'm objective, but I'm strict about exactly what I will work with or what I believe in professionally, or especially in terms of writing. Like you already know, like I don't like time travel or religion. There's certain things in there in writing or like just in general. Just I don't like talking about certain things in that professional life. But in my personal life, sure, whatever. Like I'll chat about certain things, but he's like, nah, dude. But yeah, I don't know. Like keeping those relationships going, keeping like, just finding a way to, like I said, if you got a problem with it, you gotta pause it. You gotta just keep going and not, try to stop for like, the bullshit. Like I said, the title of the episode, the bullshit can wait.
Part of that too is also knowing what bullshit not to take, because then we can do two ways: subjective, your feelings, or objective, the goal. And once you start to not be able to compartmentalize the two in the workplace or at home, anywhere, it's a easy grounds for people to get outside of their character. So like,
right.
when you're dealing with a situation with a client, for instance, and they're unreasonable, what kind of things do you do to rectify, to maintain the relationship in an objective, professional way?
Because I tell you from experience, a lot of times when I'm working with a client, I'll discover that, for lack of a better word, they don't really know what they want. Essentially, like, and then like for them to come at me like they know exactly what my job is, and like you trying to tell me how to do my job, I'll have a personal feeling about that. I'll have a personal feeling about you thinking that you can do my job and tell me what, design theory and all these other things that I study for myself, and I understand these things a lot better than you might, to why you hired me in the first place. But from a professional opinion, I'm not going to express those to you. I'm just going to say, you know what, just leave it to me. I got it. You know what I'm saying? I can separate my personal feelings about, them being unreasonable, but about like several things, especially when it comes to pricing and things like that. When it comes to pricing, it's like, all right, this is like, that's my price. It's like, if you're not gonna pay me up front, if you're not gonna do this, that, and the third, well, what are we even talking about? That's inarguable. You want to say, oh, you gotta give me like a discount, this, that. What are we talking about? Where's that coming from? From a professional standpoint, this is my price. The end. Period. There's no anger about it. There's no animosity. That's it. Just is what it is. When it's professional, it is what it is. It's cold. It's calculating. It's not human. It's not personal. It's nothing personal. It's just business. That's where the phrase comes from, right? So anything business related, it's going to come off a little cold, or it's going to come off a little, a certain type of way, but it's not that way. There's no feelings attached to it. It just is what it is. When we get into personal, relationships, or how I deal with unreasonable people, it's just a lot more volatile. I'll let you know exactly what's going on with you, in a personal standpoint, because, there's no money attached to this. I'm not trying to keep up a professional relationship here. Like, this is just on a personal level. I can see the difference between the situations. If I'm talking to a client, I'm not going to talk to a client the same way I talk to my friend. My friend will understand that, we're friends at the end of the day, and this, that, and the third. I'm talking to my client, I'm a person that's either working for you and you're my patron, you're paying me to do a service, so I have to be respectful of that, of the position that we are in. Yeah, but like I said, I deal with it in various different ways, but like I'm not really the type of dude to like, all right, I'm gonna get over on you, It's not gonna happen in a professional environment.
And that's the thing about me, is my first reaction or everlasting reaction in those situations is never to extend myself negatively. But unfortunately, we deal with all too often other people who don't know how to deal otherwise than negatively. So, for instance, I had a client this summer. They paid for the month of services, and then we're requesting more and more and more, and we're not paying. We're not paying for the rest of their services for throughout the month and shit. Mm-hmm. So the client, he would get more aggressive and like be pushy and trying to force me into situations until my first instinct, and it's probably not a good one, is to walk away. I'll dip. I will disappear. And that's probably not the best way to handle situations.
Well, have sort of a code when it comes to certain things like this, because I understand where you're coming from in terms of walking away, because like I don't need this, like especially if this is a money situation, there's definitely a room to walk away. But like, and I have a certain set of codes that I abide by, especially when it comes to certain things. If they're coming at me a certain way and they're talking to me a certain way, it's like, okay, they think that I'm just this servant character, but I'm not. Like, it's when a professional relationship, I owe you a certain amount of things up to a point, and then after that, you go beyond that point, and you think I'm gonna extend past that point. You're wrong. Especially when I lay out exactly what my job is. If you pay me for something, like I used to work at Chili's at one point in time. Yay for the stalkers that want to know things about me. I used to work at Chili's at one point in time, and I was a host / bus. I was just bussing tables and then leading people to the tables that I that I cleaned up. Basically just like grunt work of restaurant work. And so sometimes they would make me like bag meat and some other things that weren't really my job. Like I'd be in the back doing things that weren't my job, and I'm like, all right, can I get paid for this thing? And I wouldn't get paid for that. I just like, well, your job is this, that's, and that, third. And I'm like, well, you pay, who do you pay to usually do this? Oh, I pay so-and-so. Then how come you don't pay me what you pay so-and-so to do this as well? You know what I'm saying? If I'm getting paid to do something, pay me to do it, and I'll do it, most likely.
Then in that case, you're insubordinate. Asking too many questions,
But you see what I'm saying, right? Like there's a certain level that I won't go past professionally, that I will start asking these questions. You know what I'm saying? For me, I won't budge on that because it's my professional code of ethics that are like, all right, number one, you're gonna treat me with respect on a personal level. You cross a personal line, I'm gonna have to come at you on a different type of a different type of vibe. Other than that, I'm gonna treat you with respect. I'm gonna treat this, the institution that I'm working for with respect, and I'm gonna treat our client relationship with respect in terms of what you expect out of it. Especially when it comes to some clients might this is not Chili's thing anymore, but some clients might ask me for something, and then I'll do it, and then like months later, oh yeah, can you change this aspect of it? But I've already got paid for it. I've already moved on to other projects, but they think that, okay, they could pop in at any time and I'm just always going to be available for them for it. But guess what? I'm not. I have other clients, I have other things I have to do. I'm a really, really busy person. So you look at this and you're like, all right, there's no room for you here. Love don't live here no more. At a certain degree, I could pencil you in for a change, but asking me months later for a change when you know what my policies are, it's like you're not looking at what this is. What like I don't live in a basement where you could press a button and I'll pop up like Jeeves or Alfred, and I'll come do whatever you ask at any time. This is a client relationship.
So, but see, that's the thing too. I'm totally fine with going above and beyond for the client or going above and beyond at my employer and things like that. But what do you do, or what would be your advice or something in a situation where you have to stand your ground? And in those situations, you may risk either A, losing your job, being called insubordinate and then getting fired, or B, losing a client and having them go on Yelp and say some weird shit about you. You know what I mean?
All right. So like this is, I guess for a working professional, this definitely applies for all of us. But when you're in a position when you set out, like I said, I set out my code of ethics. I have my code of ethics. I make sure they understand how I work and what my relationship to them is, right? Right. And if they cross that, then my situation with you becomes different because you broke my code of contract. So I don't care if they'll go out and do certain types of things and like, oh yeah, I'm a blacklist this person because you broke something. And to me, it's it's that. If you want to say, oh yeah, they can break any type of code that I set forth, any type of rules that I set forth, and they want to come at me on an entirely different level, on a disrespectful level, or I'm not even just saying just disrespectful, but like whatever level that they want to come at you on that is outside of that code. If you're afraid of whatever and you're just gonna let them do that, that's cool. That's you. But for me, I'm not afraid of those ramifications, because I understand what's more important to me is the code. What's more important to me is my professional philosophy versus your weird problem that you have now. When we first started, and like I said, you don't work with people like that. When you start out, if they turn that way, then he's like, okay, well, I must have misread something between you and me that you think that this is cool. But yeah, like I said, if you think it's cool for them to break that, by all means, put your head down and bury it in the sand. But like in terms of confrontation, running away from confrontation is not really my thing per se. In terms of saving saving professional face, sure. Perfect an example. A director hit me up and showed me that film, like a film one. I won't name the director or the film, but like he early screened a film for me and some of us and Poppy guys. And so I'm like, all right, cool, I'll just share this with my friends and they'll just we'll all just take a look at it and give them our responses, see what's going on with that. And in that sort of situation, I'm not concerned with lying to somebody about how good it is just to stay in a certain group. You know what I'm saying? That's not where I'm at. I'm not kissing anybody's ass. I'm not pretending like things are how they aren't. In terms of maintaining a professional relationship with somebody, and you want to lie and just like, all right, this is not my real feelings, I'm just going to just go along with everything you do, even if you get hot with me about something, I'm just going to be like, all right, yeah, you're right, and just go on. And it's like the customer's always right. It's not always true. It's never the case, actually. If it comes down to an unreasonable situation where there is no other diplomatic way out, and the only option is to walk away or to get confrontational, I will do either. Because I value my code.
I'm with the
I told you. I told you, like,
I'm ready for war.
War ready. When it comes down to it, my code of ethics is way more precious to me than the relationship with whatever you're connected to. You can be director X of whatever movie. I don't care who you are when it comes down to it. If you cross that line, if you it's whatever. Like I said, it's on.
We fight. That's the real.
Not so much fighting, but you know what I'm saying. Like I'm not down to play that game.
Absolutely.
But if someone's down to swing at you, like they're on an entirely other mental. They have another issue that is not. This is not about me. This just you just want violence, and I want to get out of that situation. That's different. He's just like, oh yeah, let me record a verse on your track, and dude's like from the hood or whatever, and he's like, I'm like, nah. And he's like, oh yeah, and then they drive up on the studio and try to shoot me. Whatever. That's a whole different situation. I'm gonna have to be quiet on that one. but nobody's trying to get shot by. At the same time, you set professional guidelines for you and whoever you're working with. If you know that these people are aware of what your lines are and what lines not to cross, then most likely you're gonna be all right because they know not to cross certain lines. They know not to disrespect you in a certain way, and then they might be counting down the time when they might have to come at you in a certain way, in which you will have to respond accordingly. For me, this is just my personal philosophy, but I don't let people just walk on me in a certain way. Like when you get to a place where you're trying to walk on me, I will always push back 100% of the time.
And you don't care if they leave. Bro, if you trying to do a bad review or some shit.
No, because look, if you're Sony, if you're Sprite, if you're Doritos, I don't care who you are. If you come at me in a certain way and we have a personal relationship that you already understood and you understand our professional working relationship and you cross that, I don't care who you are, what type of things you try to do to blackmail me or blackball me or have you per se, it doesn't matter. Because like I said, the thing that you should value most, well, me personally, I can't speak for everyone, but like your code of ethics should be the center of who you are. If you keep breaking that, then who are you? But just a doormat. You barely worth being in the office in the first place. Like you're just another mindless tool for them to use and abuse whenever they feel like. They'll make you do anything. They'll say anything to you. You can't have that in your life. It's negative. You can't have any of those negative feelings get inside of whatever you created for yourself. Like it's
I was pretty mad yesterday, man.
Oh, this is the real situation. This is not even a hypothetical. But let's get into the
right now, and I'm gonna tell you how yesterday I was ready to send some shooters after some people. Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, it was going down. Hypothetically, he dropping bodies.
and the interesting thing, though, just on get back to the real thing is me. I'm not confrontational in that way, and so when it comes to this, and I think, well, damn, this work that I've done is on my resume. I can keep going no matter what, but. Then I think in the back of my head, like, well, I don't want to lose this relationship, or I don't want to have them go and have other people not fuck with me and all this other shit. And I think, well, wait a minute, we don't live in that time where you are controlled that way anymore. Somebody can tell the next person whatever, but that doesn't stop you, because we live in such a free time where you can get work anywhere. You can meet people anywhere. You're not restricted to just...
Well, it's sort of that LA way. That's basically how media works. Like, somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, and that's connection, that's networking, And you're in a situation almost like, what do you call it? The Devil Wears Prada, or like in, like, sort of like when you see those movies, or situations where people are in a organization like a fraternity, and it's like, oh yeah, Big Brother Sean can get me this type of promotion, and all you got to do to get the scholarship, blah blah blah, is just do this, that, and the third, and then you break your code of ethics because you don't want them to push you out of the group because you need the group, or blah blah blah, and that's how it is, and in these relationships. Like I know, this is actually true, but I know somebody who manages the Fenty family, Rihanna's family, and so I don't talk to this person anymore because I just know this dude is like, I'm not gonna say any names, but like I'm just gonna say we just don't mesh well as friends, but I respect him on a personal level. I'm not gonna break that relationship per se, because that's a good connection to have. I'm personal friends with members of the Iverson family, and I'm not gonna break those relationships because they that could possibly go somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm not in those because of their situations. I didn't meet the dude for his connections to Rihanna, or I didn't meet people for their connections to Allen Iverson or anything like that. That's not what my focus was. It's a benefit. And if you go into people, expecting like, all right, I know if I hook up with Eminem, I could get close to Dr. Dre, and I get close to Dr. Dre, I could possibly have a seat with Kendrick Lamar or something like that. I can get a verse, and all I have to do is just keep hanging out with Eminem to get me this, right? If you go about that, you're just gonna be a slave to everybody else's feelings, and you're just gonna keep worrying about, oh man, I gotta keep this up, or like I won't get that thing that I want at the end. And it's cool that you want that, but like you said, this time there's other ways to get that. It's not like back in the day where somebody could blackball. Like, all right, perfect, best example I ever heard in my life. George Zimmerman killed a dude and he still has a job. He still has a place that he can go. He still has people who could talk to him because the world is free enough where there's a lane where somebody wants you. Yeah, if somebody's going to want business with him, somebody's going to want something from you. It doesn't matter what type of lines you cross, somebody will have a place for you. Like, look at, what was her name? Paula Deen, when she dropped the N-bomb on somebody. Like, she has a place. You think Paula Deen's going to go broke because of that? You think Bill Cosby going to go broke? You think nobody wants to hear from Bill Cosby just because he,
Bill O'Reilly?
you know, whatever? If you're a nobody, sure, cool. Like, I would be, it's perfectly fine to be afraid of people blackballing you at an early stage. But at a certain point, you still have to hold up for your own code of ethics. If you're not defending your own honor or your ethics, you're not going anywhere in general. It's not as simple as just saying, oh yeah, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna stand for that. You know, if you, whatever your code of ethics is, if you stick to it, something good will most likely happen to you because you didn't break your code of ethics. You're not sitting up there depressed, you know, selling your soul to get a record deal, or you're not doing this, that, and the third so you can get on in some other place, or you're not cutting movies with, I don't know, people molesting you.
Yeah. I guess it makes a lot of sense. The bullshit can wait. That's what type time I'm on right now.
You can put things on pause, but like if it's you know, like I said, if it's up there and your code of ethics, the thing that's keeping you in that relationship in the first place is broken. Like, somebody really think that they got you. It's me. Like, and when I'm in that situation, it's go time. It's over. It's over for that. Like, there's no more respect in that relationship. So why should I apply respect to it? You know what I'm saying? Why should I treat it in a certain degree of respect when that respect has been broken? My code of ethics has been broken. I have no more stake in this. So therefore, I can walk away. I can move on to something else. I can move over to a place, like I said, with Chance the Rapper, you move over to places where people do accept, you know, what his code is, his line is important when you're an entertainer or you're a writer or you're an artist or something, and you're in a world, in life. It's important to have a line. And I think we talked about this before, but like, your line that's your center, that's your moral center, that's your code, that's the sentence that makes you. You break yourself down into that, a pair of, you know, just a few paragraphs, your everything you believe in, a few paragraphs. That's all it takes to be your code of ethics. Somebody breaks that, it's, what are you doing? Like, now you're against yourself. So like, if you get upset, it's like, what are you getting upset at? You broke your own thing. So right, yeah,
it's wild.
Don't let people walk over you, yeah, unless that's not on your code of ethics and like you're totally okay with that. Because, you know, I just want to put that out there. I just want to be like supportive for doormats out there who you know, you feel like that's the way you want to live your life. You know, I can't tell you not to.
Safety zone.
Yeah, I can't. You can't tell people how to. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, but you know what I'm saying. And if you feel like, oh, all right, I'm gonna just let everybody use and abuse me and like all these other things, what I'm supposed to say? Because we were talking about this on a previous show when you were talking about the Japanese, yeah, and how they have a culture of you know, just being overly nice and just taking things, that the silent suffering of, you know, it's in their culture, silent suffering of the Japanese people, where they'll take anything and they'll assume that role of the whipping boy for their entire lives almost, and pass that same whipping mentality onto their children. That's not where I want to be at. No disrespect, but that's not where I want to be at in terms of being a person, a human being. I have my own values, so if somebody crosses my values, I can't just smile, bow my head, and just like let it go. If somebody crosses that, I have to either walk away or stand up to that, because like I said, I value, you know, that sentence, that paragraph, that song in my heart, that, you know, I go back to the lyrics of who I am. You just go back to that, and if somebody breaks that, it's over. Like, what's the point? What's the point? I'll just say, like, it speaks for itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, sometimes sometimes you gotta go, sometimes you gotta wait, and most of the time it could wait. Most of the time you want to preserve a professional relationship with people. You gotta not pretend to be likable, because like pretending to be likable, you're lying against yourself. Once again, you're working against your code of ethics. If like, and I'm just assuming that you don't want to lie to yourself as part of your code of ethics. I'm just, some people want to lie to themselves, but if you got to pretend to be something that you're not in order to stay in a relationship with somebody, whether it's like a professional relationship or a personal relationship, sexual relationship, any type of relationship you're in, if you have to lie to stay in it, what's the point? Because I guess the benefits outweigh the toll on your mental, right? I don't know.
Well, take us home, buddy. I'm with it.
All right.
I went to church,
cool.
and gave me my daily bread.
That was Basic Control, the show where we effectively break down various forms of media into relatable context, basically give the control back to the viewers. My name is Aaron Ray, aka the Boss Ray, on social media. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and ArtStation. As for my co-host, where can people find you, Adrian?
At 80K lives, letting the bullshit wait.
Follow us on Facebook at Poppy Guys Attack. Subscribe to us on YouTube at PG Attack, or email us at pgattack@gmail.com. Any questions, comments, hypotheticals, or advice you would like to see addressed on the show. And that means if you have anything you want to say to us, literally anything, we will listen to it, and most likely we'll respond to it. We haven't really gotten a lot of big responses. We got a little on the side, but like, I would like a more audience interaction in here. Like, if you guys really want to hear us talk about something, or if you want to say, oh, well, like, I don't like the Justice League or something, it's like, can you guys explain the difference between DC and Marvel? Can you guys explain whatever type of question that you have? Most likely we will answer it on the show. I promise you.
I just seen a squirrel take a shit a few minutes ago. First time in my life. It was weird.
That's classic. That's classic. That's classic. That's classic. That's classic.